Welcome to the new way of doing podcasts.
I don't like it.
No? Why not?
I don't know.
Because you
How's it
miss
going?
me. You miss me.
Yeah.
So
How's it
Jason and
going?
I are separated by 5 miles, but we are not in the same room, which makes it hard for what we're attempting to do here, which is a podcast. But tons of podcasts have people in different places and locations. We can do this.
We can try.
If anybody can pull this off, it's us, and with our technical know-how and our
True.
charm and wit.
It only took us an hour to get set up for this.
Well, that's the funny thing is I have this set up for guests, but for some reason I couldn't hear you. I don't know what I've done differently, but I got it working. The problem is I don't know what I did to get it working. I just fucked around with it enough until the settings. All of a sudden I could hear your voice. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's recording and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it recording?
We're definitely recording. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are in the middle or the beginning, probably, of the
End
COVID-19
of the world?
pandemic. Yeah. And this is our new way of doing the podcast because we're both basically quarantined.
So are we going to have to, at some point, if we're limiting our exposure to other people, then eventually we could hang out together, right?
Um, yeah, I mean, how much are you limiting your exposure?
Pretty severely.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm playing around with the audio here. Talk for me a little bit. Do a little test.
Well, I was gonna say, like, basically today all I've hung out with is Janie, and if I hang out with anyone else, it's one of her two daughters.
Yeah, that's
But
why I
that's
can't
it.
that's why I can't hang out with you. I mean,
Really?
I told Zeke this week because we were supposed to have dinner last night and we were talking yesterday, and I said, "What do you think?" And he's like, I'm pretty like being pretty strict with quarantine. I'm not going to the gym and stuff." So, and I was like, "Yeah, I feel horrible saying that." I was crying. I was crying texting him because I was like, "Yeah, I think until this is over, like we have to not see each other." Because I mean, the best
Did you see
advice
that?
I have heard is it's not necessarily about you being infected, but you're supposed to act like you're infected so that you don't carry this disease around for people who it would potentially kill, you know?
Did you see that video of all those douchebag kids in Florida on spring break?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a BuzzFeed article. It was like, these are the 19 people that will kill everybody. And like they were all the same people on the beach in Florida at spring break.
Dude, they're all together in one place. We should just like carpet bomb them.
Well, somebody, I think it was the local, it wasn't the government, whoever their governor is, but it was the local people who shut it all down, and I don't think they're allowed to be there anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean numbers are getting crazy. In New York on Tuesday there were 900 cases. Yesterday there were 2,900 cases, and today there are 5,300 cases in New York. So
Well, I just
it
saw a
tripled and
tweet.
then doubled.
There's a tweet that I'm looking at right now from 36 minutes ago that says 56% of Californians will have coronavirus in 8 weeks.
Yeah, I see stuff like that too. I wonder though. I think that kind of projection is based on if we didn't do anything, not necessarily like if everybody stays home and does what they're supposed to do. Because China has basically they've had no new cases in the last 2 days, I think. And I think the place where you're safe is if you can do no new cases for 14 days. So they did that by doing extreme social distancing, right? Um,
Problem is with us though, we don't even know if people have it because we can't test them because we don't have tests because we're a third world country.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that it was Harvard Medical School that came out and said that they believe that there are 50 times more infected people than we know of because of lags in testing, and some people can be asymptomatic, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's pretty it's pretty frightening. I mean, there was a new study too by the
Oh, if you're
CDC.
conservative though, if you're conservative, it's fine. None of them are worried.
Yeah, it has been interesting to watch some of them change their tune, right? Because a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago, Trump was, making it out to be, well, we're gonna have no cases, zero. I've got it under control, blah blah blah. Um, but he has changed his tune, and so many conservatives have also changed their tune, but some of them haven't. I was just talking to a guy on Facebook the other day who was like, I think this is overblown, And my whole thing is like, yeah, so what? Even if it's overblown to keep it from becoming something that would warrant this response, right? I mean, the whole idea is that you shut everything down because otherwise this becomes something that we have to fear because millions and millions of people are going to die, So that's been my attitude towards it. I mean, I'm not, my chances if I was to get the virus of actually dying are pretty slim, but the chances of me carrying it to somebody who carries it to someone else who gives it to somebody who would die from it aren't slim. And so a few days ago, we sat down in my house and just said, look, we need to stay here. Like, one person goes out to the store. Besides that, if you have a doctor appointment you can go to, but that's it, And the person I was worried about the most was Chloe, because her school's been shut down. And all her friends are hanging out because her friends are acting like this is no big deal, But when I talked to her about it, she was great. She was like, yeah, no, I'm cool. I'll stay here. It's all right. But I know it's hard.
Well, those stupid kids in that video in Florida, they were like, yeah, we've been saving up for this and planning on this for a long time. So like, I don't think it's that big a deal. I'm on like your vast, medicine and virus epidemic, is informing you on this decision here. Like, you've been combing the medical journals,
right?
And you independently, irrespective of the fact that it's spring break and you've been planning on this for a long time, you independently concluded that it's probably not a big deal, or you're just a selfish idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm supposed to be on a flight to Palm Springs right now. I was supposed to be going to Paris in 3 weeks, or 3.5 weeks. That's all been, or not Paris, Rome. That's all been canceled. I mean, I wouldn't even think about it. But part of me thinks, I was talking to Chloe about this. I don't want this to happen, but part of me thinks what needs to happen is a couple of these kids at Chloe's school need to be hospitalized from this. And the CDC came out with a report recently that said that like 1 in 5 people between the age of, I think it was like 19 and 45 who get this virus have to be hospitalized for it. And part of me is just going like, I hope one of these kids, I don't want them to die, but I hope they get sick enough to where they go, this is nothing to like sneeze at,
I want them to come close. I don't want them to die, but I want them to be right at death's door.
I want them to lose 50% of their lung functionality for the rest of their life.
Yeah, going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, if and that's the thing too, you've got all these like boomer parents. Like, I heard my mom seems to be taking it pretty seriously, which I'm happy about. But I've heard about a bunch of parents that aren't taking it seriously at all. They're like, oh, I lived through polio, whatever. And it's like, somebody was saying, I lived through Vietnam. And I'm like, yeah, but tens of thousands of people didn't live through Vietnam that were your age. You just got lucky. It wasn't that you were like stronger than everybody else and able to handle it better than everybody else. You just got lucky. You weren't at the place where the bullet hit or the bomb hit or whatever, and a bunch of other guys were. And so this whole idea of like, I lived through Vietnam, so I can just weather this thing. It's like, yeah, sorry, this is killing 1 in 6 people your age if you get it. So
yeah, and it's not about whether you live through it. It's about whether other people live through it. Like, yeah, congratulations. Like, you might live through it, but you might be the one who kills fucking Tom Hanks.
Yeah. You don't want to kill Tom Hanks.
No, it's all fun and games till Tom Hanks dies.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about coronavirus, but we're gonna do our shot. I'm on my, I don't know, second or third drink, because that's how long it took for me to get this all figured out technically. So right now, I'm Christian.
And I'm Jason.
And you're listening to Drunk Ex-Pastors.
Boom. We're doing our shot right now? Oh, we're not doing our shot yet.
I know. It's like we're out of whack
I know.
because this isn't how it normally works. It's
What are you
nice to
drinking?
see. It's nice to see you though. I miss you, Jason.
Oh,
I know.
thank you.
Well, I came over
What
to
are
your
you drinking?
house. Whiskey ginger.
I'm drinking a kind of like a Moscow Mule of sorts.
Oh, nice.
It's just vodka and ginger ale.
Oh yeah, did that. I brought you all those Moscow mules the other night. The last night I have seen or will see you in a while probably. Those are
Yeah,
good, huh?
yeah. It's my new favorite drink right now is Moscow. It's gonna be the Moscow Mule Summer.
Yeah, I like it. It's a great like spring and summer drink. It's just
Yep.
like super refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, that could be
You,
the. I
you
mean, technically, that could be the last time I see you for months.
yeah. I don't know how I'm supposed to see my kids.
Yeah, kids are the worst. Like they're just little petri dishes running around, like spewing disease everywhere. And
Well,
they
yeah,
don't even get very sick from this. So fuck them. They're just gonna give
yeah.
you some disease that your body's gonna just die from.
I'm just gonna make sure it says on my tombstone which of them killed me.
Right. Which one do you want it to be? If one of your kids has to be the one that kills you, which one do you prefer it to be?
Um, I'm not gonna answer that question. Um, but like I don't know. Like I told them because I was exposed to it probably 2 weeks ago, like
Yeah.
legitimately exposed to it. Like a guy I worked with tested positive.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so then
another
I
guy
got
you worked
tested.
with on Sunday night left work because it said his lungs were burning and he had a fever, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the first guy tested positive, and so I went and got tested, and I came back negative.
Yeah.
But then since then, Sunday night, a guy I worked with was saying his lungs are burning, and this was at like 3:30, so 30 minutes into my shift. And I told him, dude, like, go home or I will. Like, this is not funny.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened. And then several hours later, he's like, is it me or did it get really hot?
Oh
Because
my
I'm
God.
burning up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And we're all like, dude, like, go home. And medical came and they took his temperature. It was like sky high. And
Uh,
so he left. And I'm still waiting to hear from him whether or not because he went and got tested, but I don't know the results of his test yet. But even if his test comes back negative, so I have, every reason to think that I don't have it,
mhm.
do I still go hang out with my kids or not?
Right. Right.
You know, I don't know.
I mean, so like Vicky and I were talking today because we miss you guys, and I was like, what if they quarantine themselves for 14 days? Like, would you hang out with them then? And we were both like, yeah, for sure. If they were doing what we're doing, which is basically shelter in place, I think was what they call it in San Francisco, which is basically not leaving anywhere that's not essential. And by the way, what's his name? Garcetti?
Tommy
The
Carcetti, the mayor of Baltimore
no,
from
the
The
mayor
Wire.
of Los Angeles. I think it's Garcetti, right?
Oh, Garcetti or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's close to the
Wow.
guy from The Wire. It's close to Littlefinger from The Wire. He basically put a mandate out to, I forget they call it, it's something in place similar to shelter in place in San Francisco, but basically it says that you are not allowed to leave your house except for essential travel. And so that's what Los Angeles is doing right now. And I assume New York is doing something similar, but yeah, so part of me was like my neighbor Jason across the street texted me today, how you guys doing over there? And I haven't seen him in a couple of weeks because we've just been laying low at home. And I basically talked to him, we're just doing shelter in place here at home, and so he didn't come over, we just texted back and forth and everything. But then we were saying, what about Jason and Janie? What if they do it for 14 days and they're fine? Would you hang out with them? And we're like, yeah, of course. If we're all doing that, I would hang out with them. But the problem is kids. Like, Jonah was going to come home this weekend and watch Survivor with me, and we canceled that. And Zeke and I were going to do dinner, and we canceled that because they're young. They're 22, 23, and they're being careful, and they're quarantining themselves. But they're also Jonah lives with 5 other guys. you know? And those guys are probably going to the gym and going to get food and stuff, even if they're being more careful than normal. So part of me is just like, yeah, I just can't see you until then, and it sucks. Like it was hard. I was like, I had like tears running down my face this morning, telling Zeke or yesterday, telling Zeke that we're not gonna have dinner last night, and I probably can't see you until this is over. I think one of the things that made me so upset was thinking about what if I get this or he gets it, because then I for sure will never be able to like, and something if something was to happen, if he was to get it and be hospitalized and die, I would never see him close again ever. That'd be it.
I don't think I'm being as careful as you are because the last 2 days I've left the house just to go on long walks by myself,
I think that's
but
okay.
I'm walking. I mean, I feel like it is. I mean, I'm walking by people, but
Yeah.
barely,
Yeah.
like somebody might drive by me on a bicycle. But I
Yeah.
also went to the Mexican place here in town and got
Ooh,
um,
no.
takeout Mexican food a few days ago.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Vicky wanted to order Domino's tonight, and I was like, yeah, I just feel like it's just we're doing all this work to stay quarantined at home, and you just let some teenager bring you pizza. He's been sneezing on the box in his car on the way here.
but what about going? What about going to get it? Are you worried about the food being contaminated by the people who make it, or do you think that the person behind the counter is going to give you coronavirus, or what?
I'm not too worried about the food. I'd be more worried about the boxes that it's in, just all the people handling it and touching it and everything. Like I know they don't use gloves at the Domino's that Chloe works at. I asked her, "Do you guys use gloves?" Because when we were talking about yesterday, should you go to work or not? Because you're the one like weak link right now. We're pretty uh like
Lockdown,
locked down. Yeah. What's the word I was looking for? Barrier, like bunkered. We're
hunkered down.
we're bunkered down here, and but if she goes to work, it's like, well, that's each one of these people has their own thing they're doing. They're all coming back there and everything, and I asked her, do you use gloves at work at least? And she was like, no, we don't have gloves. We went and tried to get gloves, and they're all sold out. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm not going to tell you have to call in, but if you feel like you can, you should. And she was like, well, I'm worried about I won't have gas money. And I said, well, you're not going anywhere. You don't need gas money right now. You don't need money for anything. And she was like, okay, but I'm going to need gas money eventually. And I said, okay, when you eventually need gas money, I will fill up your tank with gas if you tell your work that you are doing shelter in place with your family. And they were really cool about it. They said, yeah, we get it. We understand. So, um,
Well, I got into an argument with a guy at work because I was really pissed off that Sunday night. That was the night that the guy left. That
right.
my coworker left, and then that's the last night I was at work. And one of the guys who works in security, he was like the lead security guy. He was like, "This place will never shut down. There aren't even locks on the front doors. Like, there's no, they don't. I mean, unless you chain them with physical chains. Like, there's no lock function on
That's,
the.
I don't believe
There's
him.
like, no, I'm telling you. I mean, I go through those doors all the time. The
Yeah,
door's
but isn't
right
there
next to
some
the
way they
valet.
can lock up, straighten down?
No,
Really?
no. There's no. The casino's never. It's never been closed until now.
Okay.
And even when they are closed, security and surveillance have to be there because
Right.
there's $80 million lying around in the back.
Right.
But like, I was like, this place better shut down. This is bullshit. Like, this is total bullshit. It's total greed. Like, they need to shut this place down. It's a potential like freaking ground zero for the next apocalypse.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, like a couple days later, they did. They announced that they are. But as of right now, they're only shut down through the end of the month.
Yeah.
Now
See,
they said it's quite possible we'll extend it,
they will.
as the need arises. And
Our
I think they
numbers
will
and
too.
deaths are going up right now, and they'll definitely extend it. I think. Well, schools shut down last week until April 24th. I think it is. But then yesterday, Jay Inslee, our governor here in Washington, no, just like an hour ago, he put out some proclamation, or I don't know what you call it, that there are to be no more elective surgeries. So no knee replacements, hip replacements, anything like that. in the entire state, you can't have an elective surgery because they're going to need the medical equipment for the people who have the virus. Because right now, I
Yeah.
think in Washington State we have 1,300, but I mean, like I said, Harvard Medical School thinks there's 50 times more than that because our country has only tested 24 of every million people as of March 12th. That's probably gotten a little better now, but as of March 12th, so a week ago, the U.S. had only tested 24 of every 1 million people, which is
Yeah.
insane. So,
Yeah.
we have no idea how many people are infected right now. So we're being really careful, but I think like a walk outside or going out on the trail by my house or something is not it's not, it is airborne, but not like that. Unless somebody's coughing or sneezing and you're in the same room with them for a while, I think you're okay, So,
Well, I've always said, like, I feel like there's going to come a point where the young people will envy the elderly because something will happen that will be relatively or very cataclysmic. And people who are 20 when that happens, who are facing the prospect of the rest of their lives being lived after this cataclysmic event, are going to look at people who were 65 when the event happened and be
yeah.
like, I'm jealous that you got to live 65 years in relative normalcy. Whereas I'm only going to have the first 20 years of my life having been lived before the event, whatever the event is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think this is that, but it could be. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I got my theory,
I think, even if the whole world gets this virus, it's 2%. It's around 2% of the fatality, maybe a little bit less because they don't know everybody who's infected. It's still horrible. It's still horrible to think that 1 out of every 50 people I know could die from this virus if everybody got it. It's awful. But it's not the bubonic plague, right? It's not Ebola. But still, let's save millions, potentially hundreds of millions of lives, by stopping the spread of this. But yeah, you're right. If somebody is 70 right now, they've lived pretty much in a, very peaceful time, full of prosperity. The worst thing that happened in the last 70 years is probably the Vietnam War, like from an American perspective, And so, yeah, to be 20 and looking at this and going, oh, there's a plague that's going to kill 1 of every 50 people I know, my grandparents, my parents, and all this stuff, is pretty sombering. Sombering?
I wonder.
Sombering?
Sobering.
Is sobering? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It makes
somber.
me it makes me
And
somber.
sober.
It makes yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder though, like how long obviously not from a scientific perspective, but just from like a man in the street perspective, like how long do things have to, like in a month from now, if no one that we know has died, whether we know somebody we know in real life, like a friend or family member, or somebody like a famous person, like Tom Hanks drops dead of coronavirus. But
Or
if
Stringer
like
Bell.
basic or Stringer Bell,
Yeah.
but if like no one has died in a month, that is either a part of our personal circle or our cultural circle of people we know of,
Yeah.
then does that mean we're good? Like, like at what point, like it seems like people are going to start dropping like flies.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
if they don't, then does that mean we've gotten through this?
yeah. One of the things that was interesting to me, because it was like a week or two ago that Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were diagnosed, and then the Utah Jazz players, and then Idris Elba in the last few days. And I'm just kind of looking at it going, yeah, we only in the United States, we only have a few thousand people diagnosed as coronavirus right now, having the coronavirus right now. But there's no way if you only have 5,000 people with the coronavirus, there's no way that if you have Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson and Utah Jazz players and Idris Elba
and Kevin Durant,
like, the numbers are not right at all.
yeah,
It's like, because and you have a guy you worked with, who was diagnosed with it. Like I'm just looking at it going, yeah, because we have how many people? 7 or 8 million people in Washington, or is that in Seattle? I don't know. We have 7 or 8 million people in Washington, let's say. and we have 1,300 that are diagnosed with coronavirus, and one of them happens to work with you. That's like ridiculous. Like, no,
Right.
there is 100,000 people here who probably have it, or 50,000, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so, and there's somebody at Amazon that has it, and there's somebody at Microsoft that has it, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's more than 800 people or whatever.
Yeah, I just hope I don't get the China virus, you know what I mean?
Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Let's do a shot before we talk about that. Let's do our shot
Okay.
before we get all racy. All right.
I mean,
Before we do a shot.
I got my
Oh, nice,
DXP.
nice.
Boom.
You have like
You
one
know,
of 8 left of those in the world. I have a few of them
this
left,
is
but
this is a slow and low that I'm about to drink.
oh, nice. I'm about to
Hmm.
do Fireball, but I want to say thanks to Brandon Hunt first because through all of this, we've lost some patrons. We've had a couple patrons who can't continue right now because things are bad financially, and I've told them don't worry about it, don't leave our patrons group. Like we'll make it through this. When you get back up, re-up on your patronage. But yeah, to have somebody up their pledge a bit was encouraging. Thank you, Brandon
Yeah.
Hunt. This shot is for you and for everybody else out there. Stay safe. Stay away from the coronavirus. Cheers.
Clink.
These are our shot
Ooh.
glasses from the Carnival cruise that we were on a month and a half ago, which is funny because I have a friend at work who is supposed to be on that same cruise in 3 weeks, and they
Oh.
have since. And I was talking to him about it. Like, I've been talking to him a lot about it in over the last week or two, and he's been kind of like, it's funny how fast things have changed, right, in the last week and 2 weeks. Because 2 weeks ago he was like, "Yeah, we're still gonna go," and I'm like, "Dude, I don't think you're going." He's like, "No, we're still going." I'm healthy and my kids are good and everything, and they'll be careful with their screening and everything. And I'm like, it was like this slow progression of him realizing, which sucks for him, for him and his kids, they can't go on this cruise they've been planning on. But it was a slow progression of realizing, fuck, we're not going on this thing. And then how do you get your money
Yeah.
back and all that stuff. But I think they offered him, well, first of all, they were offering free drink packages to anybody who didn't cancel their cruise. And that was probably a week and a half ago. And then about a week ago, I think they came out and offered full refund for anybody who canceled their cruise. But then if for anybody who's kept their cruise but just scheduled it for later, like it was like a $600 credit or something like that. So
It's so weird that 10 days ago, a week ago, cruise lines were going like, no, if you come on the cruise, we'll give you this or that.
yeah,
Like as if cruises are even like that's over. Like that's
yeah,
done, you know? Like,
yeah,
I mean, you saw Bill Maher, I assume,
yeah.
on real time advocating just the death of the cruise industry altogether, you
I
know?
know. I don't understand what his problem is with cruises so much, but uh, I mean, we have a cruise scheduled next year. Like I'm planning to still go on it, hoping, but maybe not. Who knows? My fear with the coronavirus is that um, that it kind of disappears during warm weather, but then comes back with a vengeance in the fall and winter, like the Spanish flu, of 1918, and millions of people die, which would suck.
Thanks a
But
lot, Mexicans.
yeah. Um. So anyway, yeah, he's not going on the cruise. Nobody's going anywhere. We're not going to Palm Springs, and I'm not even going to see you because you have to see your kids. And I'm like, I'm not. Yeah, sorry. What's your ex-wife? What's your old wife doing with like the kids and stuff? Is she? Because she posted something recently on Facebook that made me think she wasn't taking it as seriously as I was hoping she would be taking it because I love your kids.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. What did she say?
I don't remember. It was just something that it was like one of those things that like it wasn't as bad as somebody who would be saying this is no big deal, but it was kind of like let's keep some perspective here. Come on, blah blah blah. And I just remember being like, dude, like come on. Like I wanted to comment on it and say yeah, but then I was like, no, this is not. She doesn't like me anyway, so this is gonna go nowhere. But Yeah, I
I
mean,
think she's still mad at you for convincing me to leave her.
right. That never happened.
See, I know it didn't happen. Part of my problem is that um, her husband,
Yes.
I don't think I think he thinks it's a big hoax
Really?
because he's a conspiracy theorist, and
Okay.
so I think he thinks it's a hoax, and it's like part of me thinks, well, I might need to tell her that okay, well, I can't see the kids if the entire household of five of you is not taking this seriously, then I don't feel safe coming over there and hanging out with the kids or having the kids brought over here to hang out with me
Right.
because it's like okay, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, fine, but there are consequences to mocking science and all that.
Yeah. The thing she posted was from the conversation, and it was this bothers me. It's coronavirus. 10 reasons why you ought not to panic. So clearly it's from Europe. Um, but the reasons are we know what it is, we know how to detect the virus. The situation is improving in China. 80% of cases of mild are mild. That reason right there makes me insanely angry. 80% of cases are mild. Okay. So 1 in 5 people that get it are going to have reduced lung function for the rest of their life, possibly be hospitalized. 4% of them are going to be put in ICU. Like, no big deal. Like, 4 out of 5 people who get it are fine. It's just like,
Yeah,
how narcissistic can you be? That seems like the most narcissistic reason to not take this seriously that I've ever heard, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
5, the fifth reason was people recover. It's like, okay, there are people who
yeah,
recover. I posted this on Facebook where I said it seems like this is a Onion headline where it's like the virus is no big deal, says 35-year-old with no underlying conditions. It's like
right.
it's just
Well, and
so
even if you don't recover, you get to go to heaven and be with Jesus. So
true. True. Yeah. What's the harm in this whole thing?
yeah,
6 is symptoms appear mild in children. Okay, so they're still carriers. When they run up to their grandparent and hug them when they see them, they're gonna kill them and have to live with that for the rest of
yeah.
their life.
Like hey, little Billy, here's a knife. Just go stab your grandpa in the heart because
Yeah,
that's pretty much what you're doing.
right. Then you have to hide from your 12-year-old for the rest of your life that they're the reason that their grandparent died 10 years earlier than they would have normally.
Yeah, thanks a
Um,
lot.
Symptoms appear mild in children. 7, the virus can be wiped clean. Oh, okay, great. So, but of course, if somebody sneezes, it becomes an aerosol for 3 hours that you can walk through and not even know you've inhaled it. Um, 8 is science is on it globally. Cool.
Yeah, but like half the population in this retarded country doesn't believe in science.
Yeah, yeah. And when you say half between the two of us, you're that half. 9 is there are already vaccine prototypes. Okay, but still, it takes 12 to 18 months to get the vaccine to the public. And then 10 is antiviral trials are underway. So it's just like I'm not in complete disagreement with like don't panic. Yeah, don't panic. Don't go buy like the people that I see. I'm just as mad at the people that I see with a shopping cart at Costco with a 12-foot tall stack of toilet paper. Right? It's like, come on,
Yeah,
like
if Gwyneth Paltrow's ex-husband Coldplay taught us anything, it's don't panic.
right. Well,
Remember that
I
song?
believe that's from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, more than Coldplay. But
Well, but
yeah,
Coldplay did sing a song called "Don't Panic."
did they? Is it called Don't Panic?
Yep, and I'm not talking about they. I'm talking about Coldplay, the lead singer.
Right. It's called
Yeah,
Don't
Gwyneth
Panic though.
Paltrow. Yeah, "Don't Panic." Yeah,
Really?
it's on Parachutes. Yeah, the
Oh,
first album.
that's funny. So he is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan then, for sure.
Apparently, because
That's
who else has ever said that?
that's no, but that's the main mantra of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't panic.
Did you know that "Fear not" is the most often repeated command in the Bible?
Really?
So apparently, the Bible is also a big fan of Hitchhiker's Guide.
Right. Right.
Because
No,
where
I
else would they have gotten
like
that?
that, and that's the problem is like I think the thing is the safe thing for people to do is to panic and shut themselves up in their house. The unsafe thing is to be like, this is no big deal. I would way rather have people be panicking than be like, this is no big deal. I'm going out and like going to the bar tonight or whatever, you know? But yeah, you don't need to panic, but like extreme precaution will save lives. If this thing doesn't become a huge, and this is part of the problem too, is like conservatives in the end, if this turns out to be not a big deal, will be like, yeah, so the coronavirus killed 80,000. So what? The flu kills that much in America, every other year or whatever. It's like, yeah, the reason the coronavirus didn't do that is because we took it so seriously and responsible people who cared about other people took precautions.
But it's one of those unverifiable and unfalsifiable
Right.
claims. It's like Rogaine. Remember Rogaine? Where it's
Yeah.
like,
Do
yeah,
I do I
we're
remember
not
Rogaine?
it.
I have no hair. Yes, I remember Rogaine. I was excited about it. I was hoping it worked really
Yeah,
well. It didn't.
yeah, and if it didn't work on you, it's like, well, it didn't work to grow hair back, but your rate of hair loss was definitely slowed down,
Right. Right.
which is a claim that can't be tested, which makes it perfect for
Right.
marketing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
So,
amazing product, yeah. From a marketing perspective. Yeah, but
yeah,
I
spray this on your head, it'll make you go bald less quickly.
right. And we both sprayed a shit ton of it on our head and look at us. By the way, I've been kind of lazy on putting these episodes on YouTube because it takes a lot of work and um
And
actually I
you
have
just
all
don't
the
have a
time
lot
in
of
the
time.
world. I have all the time in the
Yeah, I
world.
was
I
gonna
don't know
say,
why I'm not
what
doing
the
it.
fuck are you doing all day, bitch? Get to work.
I got a new weed pen, so I'm using that. But look, I want to show you something. You can only see this on YouTube, so here we go. Look what I have right now.
Oh yeah, you got your hand back.
Yeah,
Look at you.
I have
You're a
a,
you're a real
I have
you're
a
a
left
real
hand.
boy, a real human boy.
Okay, but hold on, don't talk for a second, all right? So this is my hand. I'm gonna make the best fist that I can make with my hand right now. Okay, so they took my pins out yesterday. The pins were right here, 6 pins. I'm gonna make the best fist I can make. Here we go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's compared to this. Here we go. That's a fist. My left hand is not great, especially the pinky. However, it's super swollen. If you look at the two, you can see this one is super swollen compared to the other. Hold on. Let's look
Yeah,
at
I
the
would say your fisting days are over.
top. Well, my left-handed fisting days are over. Um,
Yeah.
so by the way, so I have a video. Did you watch the video of the pins being taken out?
Nope.
Why not?
Because Michael said he showed it to somebody in his office and they ran out screaming and vomiting all over the place.
They didn't say they
I
were
don't need that.
vomiting. That's
Yeah, well,
bullshit.
close enough. I don't need that.
So it's funny. Okay, so I went to my doctor, the guy who did the surgery 6 weeks ago, and I got there, and they put me in this little room, of course, and the doctor finally comes in. She's like, "Your doctor couldn't be here today because he is quarantined for 14 days because somebody came in the day before." And they had a pending coronavirus test result. So they're waiting. They had been tested and they're waiting for the result, but they didn't tell anybody. They came in to Proliance Sports Medicine. That's where I had my surgery done because scootering is a sport, whether you believe it or not. And they
Is falling off a scooter a sport?
it's one of the possible consequences of the sport of scootering. So he came in, didn't tell anybody that I've been tested this week from coronavirus, and the next, like later in the day, so the day before I was there, got the results that he was positive for the coronavirus. So my doctor, the physician's assistant or the nurse or whoever brought him back and did his blood pressure and everything, the X-ray tech, and the receptionist who checked him in, all are on a mandatory 14-day quarantine leave from work now because of this asshole who didn't tell them, right? And so I went in for physical therapy because look at my hand. So I'm doing physical therapy right now. I went in for physical therapy on Tuesday. And what was I gonna say? Physical therapy, and they were like, "This is gonna be the last time you're gonna have physical therapy, except for maybe one more time because physical therapy is shutting down." So they're looking at me, going, "You're on your own. You have to figure this out on your own. Here's some exercises you can do for the next few months because we're not gonna be here." And I'm taking my little, I have like a little vial of Purell that I took from work around the time of the cruise a month and a half ago that I've just been like just using as sparingly as possible. And I asked my physical therapist, can you fill this up for me with your big bottle on your desk here? And we spent like 5 minutes trying to do it. So I went there, and the next day I go in to my doctor's taking my pins, and he's not there because they're all like furloughed or on 14 days of quarantine. So I have a new doctor that comes in, and she just kind of doesn't give a shit. She's just like, let's get this over and done with. Let's take out these pins. And you should see it, dude. She's got pliers, and like she just takes them and she twists like this to get them loose out of the bone, like for like 10 seconds. And then she just starts pulling, and she twists some more and pulls some more and twists, and boom, it pops out. You should have watched it. It was pretty fun.
That's gnarly, pins. Dude. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if I can handle that. Dude, speaking of,
I'm thinking of putting it at the end of this YouTube clip. Like I will say here at the end, if you want to watch this, here is me getting the pins out of my hand.
Dude, you should also post that video I took of them pulling that thing out of your side when you got your heart surgery. Remember that? They're pulling that thing out, and I was there.
No, I took that. I took that video. No, I took the video. I took that video.
I took photos though.
Yeah, it was just me. You weren't there. Too. You weren't there. It was just me and the physician's assistant. And he asked if I could record, and I recorded it from like this angle, and I have it. He's like pulling it out. Like there's like 4 feet of tubes that come out of my chest.
I took some pics of them doing something to you.
This is
Put all that shit on there.
This is how close we are. That you feel like when something happened to me, it happened to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of Purell.
Yeah.
Somebody posted in the North Bend Facebook group that I'm in, the city I live in.
Yeah.
About how the story about that guy who bought like 14,000 tubes of hand sanitizer, put them all in his garage, and then sold them, tried to sell them for a huge markup.
Are you serious?
You know you've heard that story, right?
No, I have not heard that story.
Yeah, and so somebody posted about it and then was saying like, what an asshole, what a piece of shit or whatever. And I'm like, that's just capitalism.
Yep, that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Like what this is just, if you took capitalism and encapsulated it in the actions of a single individual.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's getting as much of the necessary resources as possible under your own control, and then exploiting people's fear and people's need of those things for profit. That's what capitalism is. That's good business.
Yeah.
And yet the fact that everyone is repulsed by this one guy doing it, it's like, okay, congratulations. So you're recognizing that this behavior is repugnant, but that is exactly what our entire society is built on.
Yeah.
So like, somebody please like recognize how,
Yeah. No matter what Trump says, he looks at that guy and goes, that's the way you make money right there, is you find the need and you you make as much money off it as you
Yeah,
can.
whether it's toilet paper or water or EpiPens or insulin or whatever the cherished commodity, the rare resource is, you take control of it. If it's a diamond mine in Africa, you take control of it and you exploit the people who live there, and you extract and you consume,
Yeah.
and you exploit people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, socialism, which we've heard a lot about lately, at least seems to the idea behind it seems to be, let's make sure everybody has what they need. Let's help everybody.
Well, that's where it's so funny, because even I think Republicans seem to be doing a better job than Democrats now at responding to this epidemic or pandemic. And all of the progressive and socialist policies that were dismissed 2 weeks ago as being too radical, ridiculous, are
Right.
things that now people are like, oh, maybe we should have a universal basic income. Maybe there should be free test. Like all these motherfuckers like Ben Shapiro are like,
Yeah.
there should be free testing. How come I can't get a test? There should be free
Right.
testing and free treatment. It's like, yeah, bitch, it's called Medicare for all. It's what Bernie Sanders, the guy that the fucking Democratic Party has turned their back on and spit in his face,
Yeah.
he's been advocating. Like if his policies had been taken seriously like they are in every other industrial country in the world, including Canada to our north,
Yeah.
and Cuba to our south, yeah, we would be ready for this. We hit the ground running. But it's like, no, we're gonna, like, even the stuff Joe Biden's talking about doing is stuff like, oh yeah, we're gonna intervene and deal with this crisis. But as soon as the crisis is averted, we're gonna just go back to business as usual. So when the next crisis comes, we're gonna be flat-footed and fucked.
Yeah. Well, look at the bright side, dude. You're gonna get a check for like $1,200 pretty soon from the government. Woo-hoo.
That you mean my monthly paycheck for my job? Oh.
No, they're paying you, aren't they? While you guys are closed, but not tips, not tips, but your hourly wage.
So they're basically paying me a third of what I make.
Right. Well, no, I think the Congress or Senate passed some stimulus bill that's going to send actual cash checks to people who make less than 75,000. I think it is. So
yeah, but what they need to figure out,
but it's 1 month.
Like
1 month. It's like, how I get it. Like, yeah, that might help you some, but is it gonna like change your entire year? No, it's gonna give you a bit of a boost for a month or whatever.
But what they need to do is like recognize that, like, with automation, potentially replacing millions of workers, that some sort of UBI, universal basic income, is going to be necessary just for people who have some sort of delivery job that is no longer necessary,
right.
or some sort of you're a checker at a supermarket. Well, you're superfluous. We don't need you anymore. There's self-checkout. But it's like, once 75% of the workforce is unemployed because their jobs are irrelevant now, there's going to have to be some sort of economic stimulus plan,
or there's not,
or
there's not, and the billionaires are just going to get more and more billions while everybody else just grovels for necessities.
But at that, there comes a point where, and forgive me for waxing post-apocalyptic, but there's going to come a point where people are in the streets with pitchforks and torches and Molotov cocktails, going, we're fucking hungry and we're starving.
Yeah, and you're living in this opulent place with no.
We're going to find the biggest house I can walk to. I'm going to burn it the fuck down. Or if I live in Washington, I'm going to storm the gates of the White House and demand some sort of like dignity as a human person and citizen of this country.
Yeah. With that,
I realize I'm getting dark, and I recognize that.
With that, let's take a break, get new drinks, and finish up this podcast.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we're coming back. You can see me. Jason wants to. He doesn't like the view that he has right now, but it's the only view that he can see me in. So he's going to give you a little tour of his office.
Yeah. So okay, here's since people don't get a chance to see, behind the scenes. This is that's my diploma from seminary. There's some books down there. This is my desk. And
Notice that he skipped the monitor that the Pornhub is on.
there's my monitor. There's nothing to see here.
Oh, okay.
There's my Big Lebowski bumper sticker.
Can you? What is it? What did it say? I can get you a toe. Can you
Yeah,
point
stop
your?
talking.
Can you?
You're fucking everything up.
Can you point your camera at the screen again and open up your browser and type in PO and show me what it shows you for the auto typing intelligence or whatever?
Let me think about that.
Intelligence.
No.
Okay.
There's my DXP 100 episode poster. That's where I read. There's my little table, and these are that's my library. Here are my books.
Let's see them. Okay, two things off the top of my head. One is I didn't know you liked U2 also. Dude, we should be friends.
Yeah, yeah. The new band, they're a new Scottish band. I'm thinking about getting into them.
Right. Also, I
didn't know, dude.
Scottish.
I didn't even know I had this tapestry thing. I found it when I moved in here. I realized like that because that door has windows, and I don't want windows in it. So I'm like, I gotta find something to cover up the door.
Right.
I know. And I found that tapestry that I had from the 80s, and it fit perfect. So I'm like, sweet.
I'm not sure if it was that you didn't want anybody watching you while you were looking at Pornhub, or if you wanted the members of U2 to be looking at you while you watched Pornhub. I'm not sure which one it is.
I would totally masturbate in front of Bono.
Okay, the other thing about your office is it is set up for one person and one person only. Like
that would be me.
Like you have a chair over there, and you have a chair behind your desk. But if anybody sits in the chair, the comfortable chair over there with the books, they can't see the person sitting in the desk because you have your monitor facing you, with the back of the monitor being to the door instead of putting the monitor on the other side of your desk. So every time I have come over and I come sit down in the chair because it's the only other place to sit in your office, I can't see you. You have to move your chair to the very right hand side of the desk and avoid the monitor.
It is a problem. I thought about putting a chair in that corner, where the heater is, the space heater, in order for Janie to be able to sit in here and read, or for you to come and hang out, whatever.
Yeah. This is better. Next time I feel like coming over to your office, I'm just going to say, hey,
think better of it.
Let's get on this vMix video thing and just do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, who I am a fan of, just put out a statewide order that people are not supposed to leave their house or whatever. He said you won't be arrested for it because I don't think we need that. But he basically said there are 16 jobs or professions that you could go to work for, and it's one is a grocery store. Let me see. I think I have it open on my phone right now. Yeah.
While you're looking for it, my question is are they going to is there going to be some sort of, and I know that the Senate has put out some stimulus package. I think it's just the first iteration or something, right. But it's are people going to be paid for not being able to work? The casino is actually doing better than the restaurant industry, because Jack's, for example, where Janie works, they're laid off. So they're not getting anything. And they're trying to file for unemployment, but it's impossible. The website is crashed.
Yeah.
You can't use it. The casino at least is paying everybody. But of course, as a tipped employee, I have the same problem now as I have whenever I take PTO, which is that I only get paid a large
portion of your income.
Yeah, 66% of my income is tips, and I don't get those. Whereas, other casino get their full paycheck, whereas Janie gets nothing. But what are they going? Are they going to pay everybody?
I think
I realize they did.
Yeah, I mean, I think their solution is to send actual checks to people, But it's not going to. That's what I'm saying. These checks aren't going to make up completely for what you would normally get, but they're
But
going
it's
to
like they
hopefully.
just they just they just sank 1.5 trillion
Yeah.
into the stock market the other day, which made it up for minutes before it spiraled back down. So somebody on Twitter posted a picture of the stock upticking before it dove back and
Yeah.
said, "Here, this little upward tick is what 1.5 trillion dollars got us, which is
Yeah.
basically nothing." But with that
Yeah.
money, they could have purchased insulin for every diabetic. They could have canceled all student loans. There's so much, and they just invent this money out of thin air.
Yeah.
It's not like they have to
Money
get
doesn't
it from
exist.
somewhere. It's just a construct. But it's
Well,
like there's no money for poor people. There's
I
no
mean,
money for
let's say there's 200 million adults in the country that you could possibly send $1,000 to. That's $200 billion, right? The 1.5 trillion stimulus that brought up the stock market for 15 minutes is 7 of those. You could potentially send $3,500 to every adult American for the next 2 months, which would float pretty much everybody, who needs it, um, with the same amount of money, right? But
Mhm.
instead, we're sending $1,000, maybe 1,200 to every person who makes less than 99,000 or 75,000 or whatever what it is. But yeah, it's like I don't know how people are gonna survive unless they just pull together and help each other, which is obviously going to be a part of it, I think.
Yeah, like 1,200 a month would help me in that it would mean that now I'm making with my casino money and the 1,200 bucks on top of that, I'm making 75%
Yeah,
of my income instead of 33%. But most people, I mean, because Janie is laid off completely.
yeah,
So $1,200 a month, yeah, sure, it would cover, her half of the mortgage or something, but it's like it wouldn't help with anything else.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I have these insane thoughts all day long because I'm, like you, I'm just kind of always thinking. And, well, maybe not like you, maybe more than, do you think my brain is not smarter, but, like overthinking things more than yours is?
You definitely you're like a dog with a bone sometimes where if you're interested in a topic, you'll read a million articles about it.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
And I'm interested in the coronavirus right now. I'm like
yeah.
super fascinated by it. So, well, as is millions of people, but I I will think these things like I'm always pretty well stocked on food. I have a pantry that's like has an. I could probably at any moment, even when it's not the virus times, if somebody came to me in last mid September and said, "You can have no more food. How long will you survive?" I'd probably be like, "I can survive like a couple of months on the food I have here." I
Oh,
always have like
yeah, we could.
yeah
Yeah,
bags. We
easily.
could bags of rice, bags of beans, canned stuff. I'm always ready to go because I like to cook, so I like to have everything. Um, but like I have these thoughts where I'm like, because we've seen so many dystopian movies about the apocalypse and what the future is going to be like and all this stuff, and I'll see like somebody eating something that is like they could have put it in Tupperware, for example, and saved half of it. That could be a meal, and I'm like someday. Like, and I'm impossible to live with this stuff, I'm sure. But part of me is just like, dude, you could have put the rest of that in Tupperware because there's going to be a day we're going to be looking at this going, I'd kill for a can of corn or whatever. But we
Yeah,
we
yeah.
ate half of it, but then we just threw the other half away, you know. And I'm getting like to the point where I'm stretching stuff in my fridge that I know is it good? Is it still okay? Probably. I'm not totally sure. I think we can probably eat it. We'll see. You know. I'm
Yeah.
just like I'm getting pretty. I could get a little bit fanatical about it. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to be reasonable. I'm trying to, no. But like then you see all these people posting pictures of stores where the shelves are all empty and everything.
Yeah, it's because we're people are idiots, and
Yeah.
we live. And we live, I mean, I don't know. We live in a dystopian third world nation anyway. That is like the last gasp of the American empire is upon us, you know. And it's
Right.
like,
You think so?
um,
Because I think there's a good chance that I think there's no looking at the Chinese numbers and seeing them getting the infected numbers down. There's a part of me that thinks there's a good chance that we will, if we take extreme enough measures, which even Trump is saying now, be with don't be in a group of 10 or more people. I'm like, okay, I respect that. You're doing that right, even though
but
you
he's
did.
holding press conferences with 10 people and shaking everybody's hand.
Right. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
does
but that
that
was that was
motherfucker
a
not
week
have it?
ago though. That just shows
Like,
how
there's no, yeah,
that
but
was a
there's
week
no
ago.
justice when Forrest Gump has coronavirus and Donald Trump doesn't.
Right.
There's no God, there's no justice, there's no ultimate meaning at all.
Right. Um Yeah, I think that I mean everything is changing so fast. I will actually say that like Donald Trump 2 weeks ago was a complete fucking idiot in regards to this thing, you know, and he got up a couple days ago and said he actually took the group of people he should be around down 80% to or down to 20% of what it's supposed to be, where he said, everyone's saying groups of 50. I say no groups over 10. I was like, okay, I kind of actually respect that. What I don't respect, obviously, is that he's going to go back and have revisionist history about everything that's happened so far.
Oh, he already is. He's saying I was calling this a pandemic long before
Yeah,
anyone else thought it was.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas, like, no, there's actual video of you 2 weeks ago being asked, "Is this a pandemic?" And you're like, "No, it's no big deal."
yeah, yeah. No, and I hate that, but
But
I at least like that now they're taking it seriously. Thank you.
yeah,
I'll give them props for that.
and and whether they're taken seriously, I don't know. But like, Republicans are better at politics than anyone else. So it's like, I guarantee you, all this sudden movement from the Republican Senate approving these stimulus packages and checks to Americans directly,
Yeah.
they're going to do this because they know, unlike the fucking Democrats and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they know, like, oh, we're gonna respond, we're gonna give a bunch of money to people, and then we're gonna run on this, and we're gonna ride this victory wave all the way to a second term
Yeah.
in November, because Nancy Pelosi's trying to means test whether or not people should get money, and they're wringing their hands. And meanwhile, the Republicans are seemingly taking the lead on relief, which is good. But it's like they're just good at politics. They know how to, like, exploit stuff and take advantage of stuff and find the weak spot, the chink in the armor, the praiseworthiness of an action.
Hey,
So
watch
it's
your
like
language. Just because Trump is calling it the Chinese virus, doesn't mean you need to talk about the chink in the armor.
the slope. In, didn't I say something about a slope recently? And you
Don't
thought I
do
was
it.
talking about
Yeah.
an Asian person?
Yeah, don't do it.
I'd never even heard that.
Yeah, what do you think about this whole thing about Trump calling, like, he is trolling us so hard in calling it the Chinese virus or the China virus or whatever he's calling it. Like,
Well, did you see
it's trolling,
that? Did you
right?
see the
First of all, you'd admit that he's completely trolling us.
Well, did you see the photo someone took from behind the lectern of his notes?
No.
Really?
Yeah. What is this?
Dude, all right, hold on, I'm gonna show it to you.
All right.
Let's see, figure out this here. I'm in Twitter now, so I can't see you, but I think you can see me.
Yeah, I can see you. You're a handsome devil.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You look skinny. You look thin.
Dude, there's this whole this recent scandal. Have you heard about Republicans dumping their stocks?
Yeah, that one guy, 1.4 million or 1.6 million.
Yeah.
He's like one of the main guys who would have had insider trading knowledge as well.
Okay, dude. All right, hold on. I gotta check my volume. Somebody's messaging me.
That's Vicky. God, Vicky, shush.
All right, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, so here's the picture from
it's
afar.
backwards though. It's backwards.
Is it? That's Trump at the lectern.
Okay.
And then you look at this one, and it says the coronavirus.
No way.
It's crossed out.
That's not real. There's no way that's real.
No, it was this is the
Oh, it's not
it's a blue
just
check.
me
It's a blue
being
check
pro.
mark person on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay.
Close up of President Trump's notes where he crossed out Corona and replaced it
Wow.
with Chinese virus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have like a, this skepticism in me because of deep fakes and all that, where it makes me just go like, that can't be real. But if that is real, that's insane. Like that just
Yeah,
goes
it's
to
real.
show it's just a matter of him trying to scapegoat and how does he still have people taking pictures of him with his notes? He's gotten kind of in trouble with that before, right? Where he has notes
Yeah.
and people like take a picture of it and point out what a fucking idiot he is.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's just like, but it's like, I mean, the discussion about whether it's okay for him to call it the Chinese virus is
Yeah.
a perfect example of what I always say about nuance and about
Right.
um, conservatism is just what you get when you abandon or jettison nuance
I thought I was the
in
first person to say
discussions.
that. I feel like I was the first person to say that conservatives don't understand nuance.
Yeah, you're the first person to repeat me saying that.
It's possible.
No, it's it.
I smoked a little bit of weed in the break, so it's possible.
Oh, well, I was talking to a guy because I posted on Facebook and on Twitter a Trump's tweet where he calls it the China virus, the Chinese virus.
Yeah.
And it's like conservatives, you know, I tell you what, they are ready to go with their talking points and their articles and their links. They just show up just locked and loaded
Yeah.
because they're just like, no, it's not. What about Ebola? What about this? What about all these different like you know, the German flu or whatever, the Spanish flu. So they're armed and ready with all the counter examples of all the times that somebody used a term focusing on where a virus or pandemic or whatever originated.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even somebody posted a headline from CNN or a tweet from CNN saying a new Chinese strain of the coronavirus has people worried, right, from like a month ago or something.
Yeah.
Is CNN racist? No. Well, then Trump's not racist either, right?
Right.
But it's like, well,
it was only in China
not,
at that point.
well, plus it's not racist to call it a Chinese. Like if Trump were just a regular person and called it a Chinese virus, that wouldn't be enough to make him racist. But when a racist calls it a Chinese virus,
Right.
yeah, it's racist. You know, and
Well,
it's like
also,
Trump's a racist.
If the virus only infected Chinese people, then okay, it's the Chinese virus. But
Like
when it infects,
like to your point, if it were,
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say if it were only Chinamen
That's
who
what
were
I'm
being
saying.
infected.
Chinaman,
I know,
right? Yeah,
but I use the word Chinaman because
yeah,
I like
I got it. I got it.
you
Yeah,
get it. You
no,
see what I
it's
did
like
there?
it's not a virus that was created by the Chinese people, and it's not a virus that only affects Chinese people. So it's not the Chinese virus. It is a coronavirus, which I think is what SARS was as well. It was a coronavirus, you know.
Well, they're saying that
Have a fact check.
this is a. I listened to a podcast today about it. They're saying the scientists are now saying that this is like a combination of like SARS and AIDS because it compromises the immune system.
Yeah.
And could potentially, like you said earlier, could potentially have lingering and lifelong effects on the immune system, even if once you've recovered from it.
Right.
But yeah, it's like when Trump, it's like when Trump calls it a Chinese virus, it's different than if some random news anchor call it a Chinese virus because Trump has a history of racism that any informed person can easily.
And he's doing it. He's doing it intentionally. He specifically.
Yeah, he's dog whistling.
He specifically changed the tune of what he was calling it at a specific time, and made it clearly evident that he was calling it the Chinese virus.
Yeah.
China, is it China virus?
There is an interesting Chinese virus.
Chinese virus.
We should call it the Chinaman virus, though.
Chinaman virus. We should talk to him about it. I'm sure he would agree with that.
Let's tread into some deep and potentially precarious waters
Okay,
for a moment.
let's do it. Are you
From
getting
what I've,
texts from our group?
yeah, I'm ignoring them.
I know. So
Um,
the text says that Rosie created her first egg today.
the
Rosie?
chicken.
Yeah, Vicky and I have 4 chickens. Rosie has never laid an egg, and she laid her first egg today, like 2 hours ago. So
So was she struck with barrenness from the God
yeah,
of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob?
all I know is that we get 4 eggs out of day. Look at my fucked up hand. This is me saying 4. Like that's the best I can do. That's 4.
So three
Like
and a
this.
half eggs.
This is 4 in a normal hand. This is 4 in my scooter jacked up hand.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
like 3.75 at
totally at
best.
best. Yeah, on a good day. Yeah, I was wondering. There are 4 of us here in the shelter in place quarantine that we've imposed on ourselves. Could we survive off of 4 eggs a day? We have 4 eggs a day now with Rosie. Like water and 4 eggs a day. Could we survive?
Yeah, because if she didn't start laying eggs, it's time for some chicken for
Yeah,
dinner.
she would be chicken at some point. I think we could probably survive on that. 1 egg a day. I think humans could do that. Okay, go
Going
on
back
to
to,
what you were saying. Yes.
I mean, from what I've heard, these viruses like this originate because in these open street markets in China,
The wet markets.
yeah, they'll have bats and all kinds of animals all in cages crammed together, just shitting and pissing all over each other,
Mhm.
and they buy this stuff to eat it. Is it okay to point out that, like, yeah, you're fucking kill, that's not the
No,
best
no, it's not.
way? Why?
Okay, here's why. Because if you've watched any of the movies that I have, and which turned me into a vegan, which I know you haven't, um, we
I've
have the same.
watched loads of them.
We have the same things going on in America with but it's with chickens and cows and pigs. So there, I got an argument. I've gotten into a lot of arguments on Facebook in the last couple weeks, but I got into one with somebody who was saying, this would never happen in America because we don't, eat these filthy animals or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but the one country's filthy animal is another country's delicatessen, right? Like delicacy.
Delicacy.
I know, delicacy. I even changed what I was gonna say earlier from delicacy to delicatessen. You know, like the whole idea, like in India, that we would eat cows to a bunch of people is anathema, right? But we slaughter them all with each other. We're cutting their throats. Their blood's going everywhere. Like this is like, and we have mad cow disease, and so it's like this whole idea that like, oh, it's the Asians people fault because they eat bats and they have these wet markets. Yeah, we have factory farming, which is doing at least this much harm to the environment and animals and all that stuff. So no, I don't think it's okay to like uh you know zero in on the Asians for this because of their wet markets. We have way worse here, or at least as bad here.
Hmm. Okay.
What does that mean? Does that mean you agree with me, or that
Well,
did
there's
I actually make you go, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't see it from that point of view, or are you just be like, are you just don't want to argue with me right now?
no. I mean, there's nothing you said that was like news. I know that I've watched the same documentaries about the you know
Yeah.
filth of factory farms and everything. Um,
By the way, there's a good one I watched recently that Natalie Portman narrates called "Eating Animals."
oh, really?
Yeah, it's on Hulu. It's probably the least like bad as far as watching disgusting stuff that you can't get out of your head. It's it,
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
yeah. Um, Plus, the Spanish flu started in Kansas. So,
Right, right. Because
did
some
you know that?
Mexican like was up there picking strawberries, and he spoke Spanish, and he had the flu first. So like, let's call this the Spanish flu.
I was watching Tom Segura. do stand up
Is he good?
the other night. He's really funny, dude.
Really? Okay.
But he's I think one of at least one of his parents is Spanish,
Okay.
and but he's white. He's white, you know. One of his parents is Spanish, and he grew up in a Spanish-speaking home, and so he speaks fluent Spanish. And he
Yeah.
was having this debate with some other American person who didn't understand things, and they're like, they heard him speak because he speaks fluent Spanish, and they're like, "How do you speak Spanish?" And he's like, "Because my father was Spanish." And they're like, "So you're Mexican?"
Right.
And he's like, "No, I'm not Mexican." And they're like, "But
Oh
you're
man, that'd
white.
be so frustrating.
You're white. That's impossible because you're white." He's
Right.
like, "Yeah, I'm white, just like Spanish people." You know, and they just couldn't compute. Like, did not compute at all.
Oh, that'd be so frustrating. I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah. So how long do you think you can last like quarantining yourself? Like let's say this because I personally, I mean, we're going up right now in our numbers, right? America and Washington, we're just skyrocketing in our
Oh, well,
numbers.
for a minute there, I was getting excited because I thought you meant DXP is going up on our numbers.
No,
No, that's not
no,
what you meant. Oh,
no.
okay, never mind.
We're holding steady. Yeah. Um.
Okay, so we're in a nosedive. Okay, keep going.
Right. Right. So like our numbers are increasing. We're nowhere near like the peak. We're probably a month away from the peak, would be my guess. A few weeks to a month, if people take this seriously and quarantine themselves. Um, I don't see us. I don't see like us saying, "Oh, we can just resume business as normal," until there have been no new cases for a couple weeks, right? So let's say we're a month away from the peak, another week or two until we get down to no new cases, and then after that, you've got 14 days of we have to have no new cases before we allow people to go back to work and open businesses back up and all that. So that to me means we are mid May, 2 months from now, if things go well, until we start allowing things to go back to normal. Like, how are you mentally as far as that? If you couldn't see your kids and had to quarantine yourself, how are you doing mentally?
I mean, on a personal level, I'm loving this.
Me
Um,
too. I'm the exact same. I'm like, this is the best. I miss you, of
but
course, but other than that,
like, I can't continue to only make 1/3 of my salary while Janie makes 0% of her salary.
right.
So that's not sustainable.
Can the two of you
Um,
can the two of you apply for unemployment?
well, she can, but the website doesn't work.
Right.
Um, and I can't because I'm technically getting paid.
Right.
So, but I'm only getting paid 1/3 of my salary because that's what my wages are. But like if and like not seeing my kids is very hard. But like
And me.
if and you, I consider you one of my kids.
Okay, that's
You
fair.
know, even though you're much older than I am,
I'm
I
like
consider myself a father when it comes to wisdom
father figure. Yeah, for sure. Like
to you.
George Michael.
But if like obviously like we're gonna eventually, I mean, if the supermarkets, because we went to the supermarket 4 days ago or something and bought a bunch of stuff,
Hmm.
and it's like, yeah, there's still stuff to buy. If you can still do that safely,
Yeah.
and if restaurants are still making food for people to go, then it's like, then this, and if we can, other than the unsustainable economic and financial component of all this, but from a just purely personal perspective, it's like I love this.
Yeah.
I'm not. I've heard a lot of stories about people who are like, "Oh, so and so's husband is going crazy. He's got cabin fever. He can't not be out in public. He just wants
Yeah.
to get out there." It's like I don't have that kind of energy. Like even though I think on Myers Briggs I'm an E, but
Hmm.
I'm right on the E and I, extrovert introvert line. So it's like I have no problem getting up and having coffee with Janie, and then reading, and then doing some stuff for the restaurant, and then playing some Elven Assassin on the VR.
Yeah, that's your new thing, right?
Yeah, and then sitting out. It's been sunny lately and warm, so I'm sitting
Oh,
outside and
nice today.
listen to a podcast, and then taking a long walk, coming home, making dinner together. I mean, I love this lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm retired. It's like I'm retired in my 40s. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But I can't to make $300 a week.
Right. Right.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny because I think I'm an ENFP. You're an ENFJ, right?
Hmm.
And my NFP are all in the 50 percentage or for 50 percentile, and so I'm just barely on those ones. But my E, I'm 93%, so extrovert on the personality test. You're either an E first or an I first, an extrovert, an introvert, and my E is nowhere near 50%. I'm 93% E, but I love the shit out of this. I am just like, I could do this for so long, like I'm having meetings with people at my work, and we'll do these virtual meetings and happy hours we're talking about. And I'm listening to stories of people who are saying, this is really hard for me. I'm like struggling. And I'm looking at it going, I'm thriving right now. This is the greatest thing in the world that I don't have to go get up and take some, a needless shower and get all dressed in these clothes I wouldn't normally be comfortable in, to go in and do work that I can do at home, Like, to me, it's just like, I'm happier than I have ever been from that perspective of just like being
Well,
able to
part of
be
me,
at home.
when workplaces initially started shutting down and directing the employees to work from home,
Yeah.
part of me wondered, like, is this the end of the status quo that many of us have thought is ridiculous anyway, which is that you gotta get up and go to work and put on a stupid outfit with like
Yeah.
pleated pants and tuck your shirt in and do a bunch of work that you could easily do, perhaps even more efficiently remotely from home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of me wonders, like, is this going to spell the end of the kind of corporate culture that people, especially older people, just assume is necessary, which
Yeah. Well, there
clearly
are
is not.
companies, and we have friends in companies who they are struggling with this, and they're like trying to let people work at home, but they've got the IT issues and all this stuff. Like, will there come a time in, let's say we all who can work at home for the next few months, the virus wanes because of the weather, it comes back in the fall and the winter, and we still don't have a vaccine yet. Like, and we go back to working from home, and this becomes our new norm. Like, is there a point where companies who are spending millions of dollars on rent and overhead and all the stuff kind of look at it and go, our productivity did not decrease during this time. So why are we spending millions of dollars on a office that we can all just come into, And necessity is the mother of invention, right? Are there ways that companies start to realize, like, oh, working from home is just as easy or productive as not working from home. So why don't we save money with these things? That's kind of my hope. I'm hoping that happens during this, because I have Jabber, Jabber is my video conferencing thing at work. I have Jabber calls with people every single day. And there are the people that I wouldn't necessarily see at work. We're talking, we're working together. Like, it's not, I don't get the benefit of like, oh, I was here with you in the office and I saw you from 100 feet away. We never talked, but we were there. If you're somebody I need to talk to, I'll talk to you over our video conferencing software.
Yeah, it's almost like our, like everything, like all the aspects of our special. If they don't make sense in a pandemic, then they don't make sense at all.
Right.
Pandemic, you have universal health care. In a pandemic, you need to be necessary travel and commuting, which is good for the environment. I mean, people are saying like, all the fish are returning to the canals,
Right.
and
Yeah,
all
dolphins.
and you dolphins, you can see through the water again because all the cruise ships and all the different boats are shut down. And it's like, yeah, maybe this could be a wake-up call where according to which we realize like, oh, when the fucking market ground to a halt and stopped working and the stock exchange was over, and there was no money being generated, the planet bonded and bonded and relationships deepened, and
Yeah.
you know all this unnecessary superfluous bullshit was halted, and it had a good effect on everything. It's possible, although in me thinks it's unlikely that anyone will ever learn from anything. But
Right.
there's a case that you could make where it's like, yeah, the way we depends the way we should that's the structure and the infrastructural systems in place time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But as soon as this goes away, everything is going to go back to normal,
Yeah.
and people pundits and fucking people on MSNBC are going to be like, we can't afford universal health care. What will that cost? What will it cost to forgive college debt? Where it's like,
Yeah.
that's such bullshit, but they're going to go right back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Janie is streaming porn downstairs because you're cutting out a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I better get down there.
You better get down there. All right. So do you have a Bieber? I have a shit ton of Biebers on my list.
Yeah, let me do a quick search here in my inbox because I do believe I have.
Dude, typing right
yeah, I
now
got it.
is so hard for me with this fucking hand. Like that's my hand. So I'm making my fingers as straight as I can right now. Compare. That's the best I can.
Yeah.
I'm hurting myself doing this right now. And that's the best I can do.
Can't you just dictate?
And look also how much shorter my other pinky is now. Like what the fuck?
Looks like me.
Oh my god. All right. Anyway, go for it.
So my Bieber has to autocorrect, right?
Yeah, it's been awful lately. It's been way worse than normal.
Yeah.
Autocorrect. Yeah.
It's like sometimes I'll be typing something, and I know I typed it wrong, but I'm like, if I go,
hold on, Jason. I'm not kidding right now. Is Janie watching TV downstairs?
I don't know.
Because you all of a sudden in the last 5 minutes are just cutting out a ton. And I have you. I'm not on a Wi-Fi. We're all wired up, so I'm wondering if it could be your house.
Let me message her real quick.
Okay.
Hold on.
She's not porn, but like she's probably watching reruns of that show with Cillian Murphy, Peaky Blinders.
Oh.
She's just down there staring into Cillian Murphy's eyes. Can't blame her.
All right, I wrote her.
He's got pretty amazing eyes.
All right, hold on. Are you watching TV?
So Vicky's taking this painting class right now, like portraits, and she's painting a portrait of my face, of her favorite picture of my face, and she looked at it and she's like, I screwed up the eye. I need to fix up the eye. I need to fix the eye in this portrait. And I'm like, no, that's just how it looks. Like you did a perfect job. That left eye is just fucked up. That right eye.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up, dude. No, yeah. She's not watching TV.
Okay. All right. Go on.
Let's just wrap it. We'll wrap it up.
Okay.
So my beeper is usually when let's say you're trying to write the word typewriter, and you write TPYE, so you juxtapose the Y and the P, but you're like, fuck it, rather than deleting and going back, I can just keep writing the rest of it, and if I write more, it's gonna recognize, oh, he means this.
Right. You get it all perfect, and then it's like no suggestions available.
Yeah, but my beeper is when it's like, I keep going. Like I'm writing something long, and it's like if I messed up at the very beginning of the word, but if
Yeah.
I keep going, it's going to recognize what I meant to say and give me the option of fixing it. But when it doesn't, so I'm like I'm just going along, going along, going along, and it's like God damn it, it's not. It's
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I got to go all the way back and start over.
Yeah, I agree with
That's
you,
my
and
beaver.
it should know enough to know that I juxtapose these two letters, but it also like you know that when it goes back like that, you can click on the whole word and just type in the word, right? Do you do that,
Yeah,
or
but
do
the
you actually,
problem though,
you don't
you know,
backspace?
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
also with autocorrect is if you get the first letter wrong,
Mm-hmm.
it will
Yeah.
not. So you can write the word encyclopedia,
Yeah.
but
Still
forget
with
the
an
e,
I. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
and it will be like no idea what you're trying to
Totally.
say.
Totally. It's like a
Where
16 character word and just has
yeah,
no clue.
it's
Yeah.
the old. It's like onomatopoeia. Something where it's like no other word sounds like this. But if
Right.
you get the first letter wrong, it's going like
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
well,
my beaver.
I posted on Facebook the other day. I typed the word animals, but instead of an S, I put a D, and so animaled, right? And it was like no suggestions. I'm like, seriously? I typed the entire word correctly except for the S at the end, and it was a D, which is the letter right next to it. And you're gonna tell me it's animaled?
Well, and it's not like
Fuck
you got
you.
it's not like you got a letter in the middle of the word wrong because the
Yeah.
word animaled is a word without the D. Like take the D off, it's the word animal. At
Right.
least give me that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's a good one.
Got a beaver?
Okay, yeah. So mine is, and I've been seeing this lately in movies. Um, but you have like a knife, right? Like an 8-inch chef's knife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty thick, to the main part, and somebody goes to stab it in somebody's chest. I've been watching a lot of movies, I guess, where people are doing this lately, and they stab it like straight up and down, like horizontally, right? Or no, vertically
Yeah.
into somebody's chest. The problem is your ribs are all horizontal, right? And the space between your ribs is not that big. Like the space between your ribs is like a half inch, 3/4 of an inch. I don't know.
Yeah.
But people are taking the knife and stabbing it all the way through a person, and it's a 2-inch blade, but it somehow is getting through there. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean, in my experience, my bones are pretty strong. Like if you're gonna stab me with the knife, the best way to do it is horizontally, not vertically. If you really wanted to get like
Yeah.
to the heart,
Yes.
you know,
Stick it
just
in like
get it all done. But every movie or TV show I see where somebody stabs somebody through the heart, they're holding it vertically and it goes right through all the way through. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, bones in my experience are stronger than that. You're gonna have to turn it horizontally to get it all the way through the ribs like that.
what have you been watching?
I don't know. There was something very specific that I was watching, and it was like replayed over and over again. But it was somebody
Was it that
stabbing
movie
like
that
this.
you keep trying to get me to watch where they're all in a house and somebody's killing everybody?
What? I don't know what
It
movie you're
won an
talking about.
Oscar or something. The movie where everyone's in a
Yeah, no, no,
house.
no. It is. It is from that movie. It's from
See, I
Parasite.
told that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that. No,
it's
not Parasite. Not the movie with the Chinaman.
that one. Best picture. No. So what reminded me of it was Parasite, where somebody gets. I don't want to give anything away, but somebody gets stabbed. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! You don't know who it is or what happens. They get stabbed with a knife, and the person is going like this, and it goes all the way through. And I'm like, no, that would hit the ribs and stop. You need to do it horizontally if you really want to get them, you know. And so, yeah, that was that. There was another movie, and then I saw Parasite, and that reminded me of it.
But what's the movie I'm thinking of? The one where it's like it's a game or something.
April
It's like
Fool's Day,
Clue. No, it's like Clue or something
Knives
where it's
Out,
like
Knives Out.
Knives Out. Yeah,
Hmm.
that would be it. The one you're talking about knives. That's probably
Yeah,
what
Knives Out. Yeah, but that didn't happen in Knives Out.
it should have.
And Knives, yeah, come. Well, no, you can't. Let's virtually watch Knives Out together because it's the best movie of 2019, in my opinion.
I'm not going to virtually watch a movie with you.
Oh, okay, all right, that's fine.
Sorry.
We virtually jack off all the time together. Why wouldn't you watch a movie together virtually? I don't understand.
Wait, what?
All right, dude. Well, it's good seeing you. You know what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to come down and just do this to talk. Like we're not gonna record the podcast. We're just gonna come and talk and have a drink together. Cause
Yeah, we're just gonna we'll block out the first 4 hour block of my day tomorrow. It's gonna catch up with Christian.
Sounds good. All right, dude. I'll see you later.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Hey, I love you too. Okay, this is Christian. I do have a video of my hand and the pins being taken out, which happened yesterday. It's 6 pins. They do not come out easily and they bleed a bit. I mentioned in the podcast that I will post the video on YouTube for anybody who wants to see. I do not recommend you watching this if you get queasy or don't like the sight of blood. But I know there are some of you, like me, who will be intensely fascinated by what it looks like when pins come out of your hand. And to those of you, it'll be on the YouTube video only. I'll leave it off of the actual podcast, but give it a look-see. Thanks.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start here and work my way.
That's interesting. It hurt at one point, just for a second. But
Yeah,
towards the
that's
end.
when it goes through the bones.
Do you like doing this? I think if I was a doctor, this would be one of my favorite things. Pulling these
pretty
pins
cool.
out.
Ooh. Feels so funny. Move more down here.
What is the wiggling doing?
It's loosening it from the bone, yeah. Because it's like fractures heal, so the bones heal around that, and then the bone heals to these.
Oh, interesting. One more.
Yes. So close.
Yes.
Ta-da.
Wow, that's very fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've been wondering about this for weeks now. Seeing